What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to bring you another one of my 2014 WCQ H.A.T format deck profiles. The deck I wanted to show off today is Relinquished Spirits. It's a really cool deck that combines the Spirit engine with the ability to protect and make Relinquished really viable, and it's kind of, a very interesting combination that somehow just works really well. It'll probably make more sense once we actually get into the deck profile, and I had a lot of people ask me to show off a Relinquished deck, and so this is kind of what I came up with for it. I do have another build that's kind of a more like Relinquished control build, but I wanted to try to make this as solid as possible, and throughout testing I found that this build was definitely more consistent at winning games than the more control style build that's kind of protect the castle with your Relinquished. So if you guys do want to see the other build, you can let me know in the comment section, but in general, again, I've really been enjoying this build and hopefully you guys will too. So let's get straight into it. So obviously, starting off, I am playing 2 copies of Relinquished and 2 copies of the Black Illusion Ritual. You don't need more than this, simply because both of these cards are extremely searchable in the deck, and there's ways to recur both of them. And so if you've never seen Relinquished before, obviously this is a ritual monster level 1. It says once per turn you can select one monster your opponent controls and equip it with this card. You can only have one monster equipped at a time, and then this card gains attack and defense equal to the attack and defense of the equipped card equipped to this card. And then if this card is destroyed by battle, the equipped monster is destroyed instead, and any battle damage you receive from that battle is also inflicted to your opponent. So it's really cool, honestly, in H.A.T format specifically, because with this you're able to deal with the hands because it's not destroying the hands. So it's really nice that way. Obviously, there's a lot of card effects that can destroy this, so you'll see later on we play a lot of cards to deal with those cards specifically. But in general, being able to, direct the damage back at the opponent is really strong. And again, even if they try to out it by battle and you're able to save this, the next turn you're able to just take another monster of theirs, which is really, really strong. And then Black Illusion Ritual is kind of what ties all of this together, simply because unlike other ritual spells, this one says that this card can be used to ritual summon Relinquished, and you must also tribute a monster from your hand or field whose level is 1 or more. So unlike a lot of other ritual spells that specifically say that levels have to be exact, this one the monster can have a level higher, which you'll see in a second works really well with some of your spirit monsters. But in general, again, 2 and 2 is completely perfect. Moving on into your spirit monsters, we play 3 copies of Aritama. Obviously, it can't be special summoned, and during the end phase of the turn that it's normal summoned or flipped face up, it returns to the hand. And when this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, you're able to add a spirit monster from your deck to your hand, except Aritama. And the one that you're pretty much always searching with that is going to be one of your 3 copies of Nikitama. This one, again, very similar type thing. During the end phase of the turn that it's normal or flip face up, it returns to the hand. It can't be special summoned, but this one has the ability that during the turn it was normal summoned or flip face up, you can normal summon one spirit monster in addition to your normal summon or set that turn. And then the other thing with this is when this card is sent to the graveyard, you draw a card, but you must control a spirit monster to activate and resolve this effect. Now, that part of the effect is mandatory. So what's really nice about this whole thing is, one, it kind of creates a resource loop where you'll see we play some extenders and stuff. So if you say summon Nikitama, have one of those extenders, and then you summon the Aritama, search another Nikitama, and then say you make an Xyz and attach this, you'll get a draw as long as you kept the Aritama on the board. The other cool thing is, even in like certain situations, if you say already have access to your Relinquished and your ritual spell, what you're able to do is like summon Aritama, add your copy of Nikitama, use the Relinquished spell to summon the Relinquished and get rid of the Nikitama from hand, and then because you still control the Aritama, you'll get a draw, and then obviously Relinquish Relinquished is able to take an opponent's card. So it's just really, really cool and just a neat thing to do, whereas most other cards you would need higher levels and stuff, but because Relinquished is a 1, you take really good advantage of the draw ability in this. Next up, for the extenders, obviously Spirits is known to play Kagado Kage, so when you normal summon a level 4 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. It can't be used as a synchro material, but the main idea is, again, just going through your loops with that stuff, summoning the Nikitama, specialing the Kagado Kage, additional summoning the Aritama add a Nikitama, overlay the Kagado Kage and Nikitama for King of the Fairlimps, detach the Nikitama, add another Kagado Kage, and draw a card, and then basically keep doing it the next turn. For more extenders, I also chose to play 2 copies of Photon Thrasher. Obviously, this is a light versus Kagado Kage is a dark, so there is some chaos synergy as well. Also, this is just a big card at 2100 attack, and while you control no other monsters, you're able to attack with it, but if you control others, you're not. In general, again, just a very strong card, and it also has some synergies with the extra deck that we'll talk about in a little bit. After that, 2 copies of Manju. I chose not to play 3 just because I really wanted to keep this deck at 40 cards to make it as consistent as possible. And also the deck, you would realistically rather normal summon your Nikitamas and Aritamas over this. And there's other ways to search your ritual, spell, and monster. So this is like good if you see it with an extender, but it's really not needed, especially since, again, you just have better normal summons in a sense. And one cool thing about the spirit monsters is obviously, as you saw, they help you facilitate rank 4s, which is also why I liked it, because what is one of the best rank 4s in this format? Lavavol Chain. And so what you're able to do is you have 2 copies of Jin, Releaser of Rituals. Originally, I tried playing just 1, but with DD Crow being in the format, you do want to have access to this really easily. Also, there's a lot of cool plays with your Lavavol Chains, so if you hard open this, it just makes going into those plays a lot easier. If you've never seen this card before, it's a very notorious card. It says when you ritual summon a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard as one of the monsters required for the ritual summon. Obviously, this would count as the whole cost for the Relinquished, and then if a player ritual summons using this card, the other player cannot special summon while that ritual monster is face up on the field. So the idea is you're able to kind of use this with your Relinquished and then kind of try to protect the castle in a sense with your other guys, and it only locks the opponent out of special something, so it's really good. Some builds, and like the other build I had, would play things like Tour Guide, because Tour Guide can get right into this, and then you also have access to rank 3 plays. But the thing that I found with that is, say you were to like have an extender like your Photon Thrasher, you special it, you don't really have any synergies with Tour Guide other than getting to this, simply because Tour Guide is a level 3, so it can make some of your plays a little awkward if your opponent has like a breakthrough skill or fiendish or just a way to negate the monster effect of the Tour Guide, and so that's why I chose not to play those. Again, also having other better normal summons in a sense, and just with the spirits, you're able to really just turbo into Lavavol Chain and get this into grave fast, so that's why I chose to play 2 of those and no Tour Guides. And lastly, for the last monster, as I mentioned, there is some chaos synergies, so BLS, and also you're able to like stack this with Lavavol Chain, and if you did that whole combo I mentioned previously, you can like detach the Nikitama and draw this right away if you stack it, so really, really good card. Next up, for the spells, we play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Really cool that this card is at 3 in H.A.T format, and basically you add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. So another cool play you have is if you have that whole Nikitama Aritama play with an extender, so for example, say you have, I don't know, we'll say Photon Thrasher again, you special Thrasher, normal summon the Nikitama, additional summon the Aritama, you overlay the Nikitama and Thrasher Thrasher into Lavavel Chain. Lavavel Chain can dump the ritual spell, and then if you activate this, you add Relinquished, and off of the other part of this, you'll be able to add the spell back, plus you'll get a draw off of the Nikitama. So if you drew like another monster, for example, you can then ritual summon into the Relinquished right away. So really important card, and it works with a lot of your different combinations of cards as well. So really cool to do that. Because this deck does special summon a lot early on, I chose to go with 3 copies of Upstart Goblin rather than something like Pot of Duality that would lock you out of special summoning. I also kind of would consider maybe playing Max C's, but into certain matchups, Max C just is a dead card against some of the slower decks, so I found Upstart is just the best way to kind of turbo through your deck a little faster. Other than that, 2 copies of Forbidden Lance. Again, you want a lot of your monster effects to resolve, and Lance is just the best way to play around those breakthroughs and other cards like that. For the one-ofs, you play 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This is just really good to get your Djinn in graveyard, so you don't have to use your Lavavel Chain specifically to send the Djinn, as well as if you have like a Spirit and you use this to send the Nikitama, you're able to get a draw, so that's also kind of cool. And then lastly, I chose to play 1 copy of Allure. I don't know how I feel about this, because you don't really play the most dark monsters. I think right now I'm playing 10, I want to say, but it has come up a little bit, and with this deck being 40 cards, sometimes you just need the extra draw power, and you'll have like an extra Kagado Kage or something in hand, so just a really good card there. Next up, we have the traps. I chose to play 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. I chose this over Breakthrough Skill just because sometimes if you say summon your Relinquished, then you go to take an opponent's monster and they negate it. The Relinquished can be kind of susceptible at times. So if your opponent is playing a slower deck and they just summon something and try to get over it, this is going to negate the attacks as well as it can negate monster effects. And then on your next turn, you can use the Relinquished and take their monster. So it just is a way to stall out just long enough for the Relinquished to get its effect off. After that, 2 copies of Safe Zone. This is another way to protect your Relinquished, as well as it works really well with some of your other Xyz we play in the extra deck. So if you've never seen this card before, it says activate this card by targeting 1 face-up attack position monster on the field. That face-up monster cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects or be destroyed by battle. So this just gives your Relinquished extra protection, as well as there's times where like you can use this on, say, like your BLS or something like that, and it just becomes a tower in itself, or again on some of your Xyz and stuff like that. And then obviously when this card leaves the field, you destroy that monster, and when that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. But it gives you just enough protection, especially since, again, some of your cards are very susceptible to card effects specifically. So that was really good. After that, 2 copies of Dimensional Prison helps you deal with the hands a little better, and in general, just like big beefy monsters and stuff. And then lastly, 3 more traps. We play 1 copy of Compulse, 1 Torrential, and 1 copy of Solemn Warning to round out the main deck. There's a couple changes I would consider. It really just comes down to the spell and trap lineup for the most part, and wanting to keep the deck at 40 cards. If you're cool with going over 40 cards, you could definitely swap out the Upstart Goblins, add some extra monsters or even some more traps at times, or hand traps, I guess, in general. But moving on to the extra deck, we play 1 copy of Master Key Beetle. So this is another card I was kind of talking about with the Safe Zone. You're able to make this with your Aritama and a Kagado Kage, and there's points in the game where, like, you can make this to protect your Relinquished, so it has, like, even more protection, since obviously this card lets you detach a material, target a card on the field, and while this card is face up on the field, the cards that are targeted can't be destroyed by card effects. So it kind of just works out with the Relinquished to kind of deal with card effects specifically, but also if you, say, use the Key Beetle with the Safe Zone, it kind of becomes like almost impossible to out this card in a lot of cases. There's also situations where I had, say, like the Djinn on Photon, the Djinn with the Relinquished, and I also was able to make a Key Beetle with the Safe Zone, and it just kind of becomes a pseudo-lock that your opponent just really can't out. So really, really good there. 1 copy of Karen Gorgon to redirect targeting, 1 copy of Ragna Zero, 1 copy of King of the Feral Imps, very important card in this deck, 1 copy of Black Ship of Corn to out problematic cards such as the hands or opponent Zen mains and stuff like that. 2 copies of 101, just, a good card. Sometimes you need to use it for its effect. Other times you just want to put up kind of a card that can protect itself. So again, with Safe Zone, this just becomes really hard to out. 1 copy of Exciton, 1 copy of Bujinte Tsukiyomi. You can make this with a Nikitama and your copy of Photon Thrasher, and then while you have a hand, you're basically able to detach a material, discard your hand, and draw 2. So say you have like just a dead Djinn in hand and you were able to go for this, you get the Djinn in graveyard and you draw 2, so very cool card there. After that, 2 copies of Lavaval Chain. I probably don't need to explain this card to you guys, I've already said it enough. This card is just so good in this build specifically. 1 copy of Emerald to put back your resources and get a draw, 1 copy of Dweller, 1 Cowboy, and lastly 1 copy of Rhapsody and Berserk to round out the extra deck. But again guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future. For example, if you do want to see that more Protect the Castle version of this deck, share this video with your friends. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And anyways, I will see you guys in the next video.